Hey, that's Record-Courier.
Hey, Colin here. Hey, it is Tuesday. Ravenna is getting ready on Friday to play their first football game here at the new Portage Community Bank Stadium against Louisville. Ravenna's already played a couple soccer matches here on the turf, but this will be the first time that the football team has taken the field. I expect a full house, so that'll be cool. But what I did want to do before Ravenna takes the field is kind of give you guys a little sneak peek of what to expect here and what kind of some of the changes are here at Ravenna Stadium. Uh, Also, don't tell anyone I kind of snuck in here. So,
Ravenna's Portage Community Bank is officially unveiled this Friday night when Ravenna takes on Louisville. These two teams come into tonight's game kind of on different ends of the spectrum. Ravenna is 0-2 after a couple of difficult losses to some good teams, while Louisville is 2-0 after two hard-fought victories. The Leopards have not been amazingly impressive in their two victories, but they're a very good team, and you know that the talent's there, the coaching is there, and they're going to be just as tough of a test as the other two teams Ravenna played.
So this Friday's game marks the end of a real grinder of a non-conference schedule for Ravenna. The Ravens started off their season playing Talmadge. They had a roar last week, and Louisville comes into town this week and is really no more of a hospitable. Well, I guess hospitable isn't the right word because they're the visiting team, but is no more of an easy pushover game than the other two were. Ravenna, they just have had trouble moving the ball on offense the first 2 weeks of the season, and unless they figure something out during practice this week, the same might be for Louisville, which is coming into this game pretty hot. They're a pretty talented team. They're always good. They're always well coached. So is Ravenna for that matter, but Ravenna has some things, some growing pains they need to work through, and I don't know if Louisville is the right team to work through those with.
This is a tough one for Woodridge as the Bulldogs travel to take on Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary. The Woodridge Bulldogs played St. V's last year, and it was a lopsided loss for Woodridge. And it's really hard to imagine anything other than the same happening this year. Woodridge is a good team, but St. V's is among the best teams in the entire state of Ohio. They're a favorite for the state championship in their division. So it's really hard to imagine Woodridge getting anything other than an idea of where they have to improve from this game.
This is not a great matchup for Woodridge. The Bulldogs were pounded on their home field last year by St. V's, and this year's St. V's team is even better than last year's. They have two Ohio State-bound playmakers on their team, and just a ton of other players who are just they're quick, they're fast, they're big, they're strong, they're tested. I credit Woodridge for scheduling a team like St. V's. Not a lot of teams have the nerve to schedule a team that good. So, I mean, kudos to Woodridge, because if Woodridge wants to take it to another level, they're going to see teams like this, and that's the kind of rarefied air that they're going to be competing in if they were to get to that level. But that level isn't going to happen this week. St. V's is on a collision course with the state title, and I really don't see Woodridge getting in the way of that.
Two familiar teams meet up this Friday as Kent Roosevelt travels to take on the Cuyahoga Falls Black Tigers. These two teams meet up quite a bit during the non-conference part of both teams' schedules. And they come into tonight's game with equal 1-1 records, and they both come into tonight's game off of Week 2 losses. For Roosevelt, I don't necessarily think that Cuyahoga Falls is any better of an opponent than Stowe, although the Bulldogs might have been surprisingly better than I thought they'd be. But anyway, it's going to be up to Matt Summers and the Roosevelt defense to right the ship here until the offense at Roosevelt can kind of figure out what they want to do, because it really looks like they're still going through some growing pains with a new quarterback and a lot of new skill position and offensive line players.
Roosevelt needs to figure some things out. They looked okay against Tobin. Their defense looked good against Tobin. Their offense was struggling, even in a win in Week 1. Last week, it did not go well for them against their backyard rivals in Stowe. They didn't look like a team that's ready to compete for a playoff berth down the road. Maybe that happens this week against Cuyahoga Falls. Falls isn't a bad team. They have talent. They're a big school. They have kids on that team that can run. They have kids on that team that can hit, that can make plays. They're not the best team in the world, but they're good enough to give Roosevelt a real stiff challenge. I'm not really sure what I would do in this game in terms of picking it. I mean, I'm going to have to make a pick, but it's a hard one to choose, just kind of off the top of my head. I think both teams really need to win. Roosevelt probably more than Falls does. So it'll be interesting to see how Roosevelt rebounds from that loss to Stowe.
Crestwood travels to take on Southeast this Friday in a battle of former Metro Division rivals. It should be interesting to see how these two teams match up, because they both have equal 1-1 records, but at the same time, they're coming off of different outcomes in Week 2. Southeast looked very good in a win over Field. Crestwood looked okay in a loss to Marlington, except they faded down the stretch, which really isn't that unusual for a team still trying to figure out its way under second-year coach Pete Thompson. So it should be really interesting to see how these two teams match up this Friday.
This one's a super interesting game, Crestwood and Southeast. Crestwood is 1-1 going into this game. Well, actually, both teams are 1-1, but Crestwood hasn't been 1-1 for a while. They started their season off with a win over West Branch, which is something they haven't started the season off with a win in years. So there's a lot of momentum there. There's a lot of good vibes there. I know they lost last week, but they're really into the fourth quarter against Marlington. Pretty good Marlington team. Head coach Pete Thompson has these kids believing. I talked to him last week, and earlier this week, I guess, and he He has a lot of great things to say about his kids. I really believe him when he says that the kids have bought in and really expected to win that game last Friday, and were disappointed when it didn't happen. They're going to get a good test this week against Southeast. Southeast is well coached. Southeast was able to right the ship last week with a victory after that Week 1 loss to Alliance. They looked good in getting a win over Field. So it'll be interesting to see if they can go 2-0 against their former Metro Division counterparts. And it'll be interesting to see if Crestwood can rebound from a loss that they were really in it till the end. They put the ball on the turf. They gave up a couple of late touchdowns. You got to take baby steps before you can really walk and before you can run and before you can become the program that Coach Pete Thompson wants Crestwood to become. And so it'll be interesting to see if they rebound and they recover from a loss and get it back out there and get a win against a pretty darn good Southeast team. Hey, so that's it for another week inside the PTC with Colin Harris. As always, you can reach me on Twitter at RC Sports Now. You can reach me on Facebook at Colin Harris, Record-Courier. You can email me at charris@recordpub.com or just visit recordpub.com for more information on Portage Trail Conference football and the rest of the PTC sports. As always, this is Inside the PTC, and I will see you next week.